What's going on, everybody? It's a beautiful day in Portland, Oregon. So I want to make a very quick update video. Let me mute the TV here. I want to make a quick update video to my Apple CarPlay system in my Porsche 911 with the PCM 3.0. So I've had a couple of questions and I've been using it for 2 months, and I can tell you the system works really well. But I want to go over the good things and the bad things. All right, so first, let's grab our key. I got this cover on Amazon, 30 bucks, and this is actually a genuine Porsche key tag. You can also get it on Amazon, or you can go to the Porsche dealership, and I think it costs the same price. Porsche might mark it up a little bit. But let's get down to the garage and see what we're working with. All right, here we are in the parking garage. There's the Porsche. You guys remember the motorcycle from the last video? Here's my Ducati X Diablo. Comes with the car in a second. And remember I told you I was going to take the windshield off? So there it is without the windshield. And in my opinion, it looks a million times better without the windshield. And actually the very first trip I didn't have a windshield. I did a 1,400-mile road trip with no windshield. And it wasn't uncomfortable, but you get beat up physically because there's no aerodynamic protection. But yeah, that's a 100% hooligan badass bike. Love it. All right, now while we're here, the car stuff. So let's get in the car. Door hit me. And like one of my favorite YouTubers, Mr. James Auto Amateur, we're part of the Flip Flop Mafia. That's right, we work on cars in flippy floppies. Hopefully I'll get together with James here in the fall. He's going back to the Dragon, and I'm going to try really hard to coordinate our time, so I can do that ride with him. I might have a friend of mine with me. We'll see. But there goes the response. So the last thing I was doing on this was listen to Pandora music. So here's my list of Pandora music, and the touchscreen works. Go to maps. You can see in some of my other videos, I almost always have it on this screen. I like to look at the map while I'm driving, even when I'm not using the GPS feature of it. But you see it loads right up. One thing I've noticed, so if you push the Navi, you get this confirmation number. I used to press that at the beginning. I don't press that anymore. I just leave it alone. And I just let the screen load to that. And it works 99.9% of the time. Initially, I did have some glitchiness where it would disconnect from CarPlay. I talked to James at Auto Amateur about this, and all you had to do was go to your Bluetooth settings on your phone and turn it on and off. Turn it off for a few seconds, turn it back on, and it would reconnect. I suspected, though, that the problem was not JoyAuto. The problem was Apple. And Apple confirmed that because they said that they had issues with the last 2 updates with CarPlay. And then they released that 3rd update recently, and since they've done that, I've had 0 issues connecting to CarPlay. It connects every single time. You guys can see right here, my phone is not connected to anything. It's completely wireless. I don't even use a USB cable that provided. It's there if I want to, but I don't ever use it. And actually, I don't even use it to charge the phone because it doesn't charge it fast enough. What I actually use is my cigarette lighter here. I have a 2-amp USB charger. Turn the lights on. Sorry about that. There we go. I have a 2-amp USB charger with just a regular lightning cable attached to it. So that's how I charge my phone. I don't use the cable that came with it. It's nice to have if you need it. Or if you want to connect somebody else's phone to CarPlay, you just turn your Bluetooth off and let them connect theirs to the wire there, and they don't have to go through the settings and connect it that way. As far as the touchscreen works really well, but this doesn't work as well as your iPhone touchscreen because this PCM 3.0, it's a different. There's the 2 type of touchscreens are resistance touch, I believe, and capacitance. And I can't remember which is which, but this is the older style. So sometimes when you drag it, it doesn't quite drag perfectly. But and you don't have to use your finger. You can still use this control knob. And you watch right there, it's highlighting Pandora. And if I keep turning it, it'll go to the ways, and then it'll go to the next page. And you can do it that way. and then you can you just touch the screen to select it. The other thing I don't like is because PCM 3.0, the screen's not as big as like what's on the 991. A lot of times this stuff in the corners you have to press, and you really kind of got to get your finger in there to press it to get it to work. One question that somebody brought up to me was, how do the sound quality? The sound quality is not as good on here as if you're listening to, I just pressed tuner, it didn't change screen here. So if I press tuner, so if I go to here, to my regular tuner, it sounds great. And then if I go here to Navi, and you listen to something on here. Now, let's say I select Pandora. We'll just select the station, whatever it is. Doesn't matter. You don't hear nothing. You got to go to your source. Go here to source. Make sure you put source on auxiliary. Now, once source is on auxiliary, press Navi. It'll take you back to the Navi. Is your screen, how you change your screen every time, and you can hear it. And the quality of the sound on here is not as good, and it has nothing to do with your car stereo system. It has to do with the way the data is transmitted. So if you go to, actually no, that there, go to, there's a logo here. Go back to the first page, not settings. This one on my, say it says Porsche. You press Porsche. This is the settings page for JoyAuto. And if you go to settings, and you go to EQ right here, equalizer, it has loudness and subwoofer. Leave those off. Those are just little cheats. If you've got a crappy radio, which Porsche's with Bose system is not a crappy radio. Actually, any Porsche stereo is not crappy. You don't need those. If you turn those on, sure, it's going to sound louder, but it's not going to give you better quality. It's just going to literally be louder. So instead, go down here at the bottom to see the three settings bars, and go to your EQ. This is how I have my EQ set up right now. This gives me bass. It cuts out a little bit of the middle and a little bit, and it gives me a little treble. This is kind of a compromise setting. I have this set this way so that I can listen to all kinds of music and it sounds decent. Occasionally, yeah, I'll come across a song or two that doesn't have enough bass, or one that has too much treble, but it's a compromise to be able to listen to most of my music clearly, because I alternate between Latin music, hip hop, rap, pop, rock and roll, those kind, and you know, all those different types of music have different sounds to them. So adjust your EQ however you like, but this is kind of how it works for me. I'll leave it on here real quick so you guys can, if you want to screenshot it, and you can at least this will give you a baseline. A lot of people will tell you, if you do some reviews, they'll tell you want to make the little smiley face with the EQ. What I've noticed is when I've done that with this car, it sounds good on most music, but then like a soundtrack, a hip hop soundtrack, or even a Latin soundtrack comes in with deep bass, and it sounds like trash. Yeah, I mean, the bass sounds horrible. So this, or the vocals are way too low. So this seemed to work a lot better to get it as close to the original sound as possible. Now, this is only on JoyAuto if you're listening to Pandora, if you're listening to Sirius XM, etc. To get out of here, you've got the back button in the corner. Wallpapers. So I've got a couple different wallpapers, and I can tell you the wallpaper. If you can upload wallpaper to here, you can. Oh, one other thing you can do. So you can put a wallpaper on this USB drive right here. You can add a wallpaper. You put a wallpaper attached to this USB drive, and it'll show up here in the folder that you can add it. But you have to lower the resolution. I believe you got to lower the resolution to like 480, so it'll display it. Then you guys can play with all the other settings, display, etc. You can either press the home button here, or you can keep hitting the back, and it'll take you all the way back to CarPlay. It takes you to the main, or I can just press this. Bam, you're back in CarPlay. One thing I do sometimes, because of somebody said, talking about sound quality, I listen to Pandora most of the time, but sometimes I want to listen like in the morning radio. So what I'll do is I'll get off of this, I'll go to tuner and I'll put it on. Right now it's on radio, and I'll put it on that radio and I'll listen to whatever station I'm listening to, and then I'll go back to CarPlay and I'll leave it on Google Maps or something, and I'm listening to the local radio. I'm not listening to the CarPlay. I can see the map, or I can see anything else on there that I want, but I'm not listening to it. I'm just listening to regular car stereo or satellite radio on my car. I do have satellite radio both on the app and on my car, but I like to listen to it on the car. I use, really, for music on CarPlay, I only use Pandora, or mostly use Pandora, and I use the music app. I rarely use SiriusXM app. Sometimes I do, but most of the time I don't. I mostly use it just for navigating. And I love looking at this screen all day long versus looking at the Porsche OEM screen. So, glitchy things that happen. Sometimes when you turn on, remember at the beginning I said this is slow to respond. So sometimes when you turn it on, you jump in the car and you don't see CarPlay, and you press Navi, you'll see the screen flicker back and forth between here and there, and it gets stuck in a loop, and it just keeps clicking back and forth, back and forth. You can physically hear the clicks, and the screen just keeps flickering back and forth. It's because the PCM is not, the processor in the PCM is not as responsive as we would like it. It's not as responsive as your phone. So it gets kind of hung up and stuck on a loop. It's no big deal. Come over here, just press and hold the power button, give it a few seconds, turn it back on, and it'll reset itself. You can also, sometimes when actually this has only happened once or twice. I don't think I've ever seen it happen again. Sometimes the map will freeze up. You're on maps and you're driving somewhere and it's not giving you a direction, and you see your arrow hasn't moved. It's the same thing. It's the processor. So just power the radio off for a few seconds, and then turn it back on, and it'll catch back up. Honestly, do not think there's anything wrong with the JoyAuto system. I think it's just the data transfer between your Apple iOS and the PCM. So I've had this 2 full months. I use it every time I drive the car. 99.9% of the time, my screen looks like this. And then I'll go in here and I'll go to Pandora and I'll pick something. I haven't listened to that in a while. That's just one of the stations I have on there. Let's see, what do I listen to the most? Does it have it? There you go. There's my most recent stations that I listen to. Ignore the top one. We just selected that for. So Calle 13, anybody from Puerto Rico, you know who Calle 13, Residente, you know who that is. Lil Dicky Radio. If you don't know who Lil Dicky is, you'd be surprised. Dude's got skills. He actually has a TV show on I forget what channel it is. It's called Dave. So that's who that is. Residente Radio, Lonely Island Radio. You guys watch Saturday Night Live, you know who Lonely Island Radios is. Best of the 80s, you gotta have that. This is your chill, laid back kind of music, etc., etc. So get off that. Let's see what else do I have. Waze works perfect on here, and see how it doesn't want to really turn because it's the type of screen it is. All right, so let's go to Waze. Waze works perfect on here. Now I'm in the parking garage, so I'm actually very impressed that this is actually populating the way it is. Search. Let's go to Chick-fil-A. And I don't care that you see where it says home right now, because that's all going to change here in the next month. So if you got that and you took a screenshot and you show up at the house, great. You show up next month, I'm not going to live there. Someone else is. So have fun with that. There in Waze gave you my directions. Proceed to route. You can go up here and, just like on your phone, you can check different routes, and it's showing me different ways to get to the Chick-fil-A. Of course, we're not going to take the car today. What we're doing today is we're actually going to go back to Seattle today. We're going to take Amtrak, and I'm going to take my electric skateboard, and we're going to skateboard there. So I'll record that on a separate video. But anyways, if you got any questions, any concerns, give me a shout. Let me know how else can I help you guys with CarPlay. Like I said, I bought this JoyAuto system from James at Auto Amateur. I'll put a link in the description to his channel and his product page, and it's a good system. I think there was some glitches at the beginning, but I think the last few Apple updates have fixed all the glitches, and I have zero issues using this system. It stays connected every time. It works. I go anywhere I go, and I have it turned on, and it works perfect. So I have no complaints. Initially, yeah, it was a little glitchy, but I think all that has been resolved. Let me know what your thoughts are or anything else. All right, catch you guys later.